This is all a wish, like a genie in the bottle. Smoke good, eat good, live good. It's the motto.
I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my time, and I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Ben from Universal Audio, and today I'm joined by the artists and producers that created the track Made For Me, which was featured in the Apollo Twin X commercial. Would you guys mind introducing yourselves?
Yeah, what's up? I'm Parisalexa.
Hey, I'm Campana.
Nemus Games.
Hey, I'm Elon Wright.
How did you come up with the title Made For Me? Like, where'd that vibe come from?
Elon played me, I think, a voice memo, which is like, you know, usually how a lot of stuff starts, really organic, of TJ rapping and then a little bit of the beat. And I was like, oh, and we kind of just came up with the hook from there.
Yeah.
And the end was like, this is made for me. And I was like, that's perfect. That's just a catchy tag. Like, it's something easy people can relate to. And it also did feel like, because of the commercial and like, once we got the prompt, that
it fit the whole theme.
Totally fit the theme. Like, we were literally, like, we just discussed this, even while we're here, like, we're just constantly making music, you know what I mean? Even we're constantly, it's constantly organic, and it feels like the product was literally made for our situation.
Yeah.
So,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a good fit because that's really what the Twin is made to do. It allows any artist, any musician, any producer to just quickly get amazing sounds and keep up that pace and then keep the creativity flowing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so start with guitar. How did you track that guitar?
So I went straight into our Apollo at the studio, and I ran through a couple of the different amp emulators. I was just looking for a clean tone, something that wasn't going to be too crunchy or aggressive. And I think I landed on the Soft Tube half stack, you know, one of the staples. And yeah, just tracked through that. But I also had just gotten a couple new plugins, so the flanger and the chorus. So I was messing around with different chorus sounds and kind of got a cool washy tone going with the guitar that I liked, and you know, that's how we kept it.
So let's recreate the same sort of channel strips that you guys were using on the way in. So for guitar, you said basically a clean tone, and then you add some chorus to it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of clean amps, like, you know, I think Fenders a lot of times. So there's like the Fender 55 Tweed Deluxe. It's kind of a go-to, but it's pretty touchy, and like it'll drive itself really fast.
Yeah.
So even at like 2.5, just try playing it on the default. How's that sound to you?
Sounds good. I'd probably move my pickup setting a little. I think I like
A little warmer tone.
Yeah, but if I kind of dig a little,
And then that's where you hear the crunch, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, dude, I spend most of my time inside the Fender 55, just find that sweet spot between 2 and 1.
Right.
That's where, like, that's the money zone. So let's try this, like, right on 2. Let's see how that fits.
Sounds familiar.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds great. And then just getting a little extra motion with the chorus. It was nothing
Crazy.
super wobbly, just a little bit.
Brigade chorus. So you'd kind of come in here. Sounds really familiar, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's kind of cool too about the Fender 55 is like you can change out the speakers, you can change out the microphones. You know, a lot of times, I'll be honest, like I kind of just leave it on the default. But just for fun, can you play it one more time? I'm gonna cycle through the different speakers and see if we can find something that takes it to the next level.
Totally, yeah.
Definitely different.
Yeah. That combo sounds good.
Yeah.
So now it's getting some it's getting the mid-range, but it's got a lot of detail built into it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And think how long that would have taken you with real microphones and real mic
I know,
stands.
right?
And now you can just cycle through them.
Yeah. You'd be out in the live room changing stuff around nonstop.
Yeah.
So cool. So, and you usually leave stuff in UAD monitor. So right now, if we did that, you would be, we've put the Fender into the unison slot. So you would be capturing the sound of the amp and the speaker and the microphones. But the chorus would be, you're just hearing it live, but then when you lay down, it wouldn't be there. So then you can go back in and tweak it later.
Right. Yeah. I think just using it as kind of a frame of reference as you're tracking, and then really, because again, when you're in that moment, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time committing to anything. So this gives you the chance to come back and really dial that sound in.
That's cool. Yeah, I really picked up that you guys, you like to work fast, to stay creative, stay inspired, right?
Yeah, really take advantage of those moments when you all feel just the energy of whatever you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the ability to maintain functionality and flexibility, because you can also just copy over the chain directly into the DAW as well, right? So if you really liked it and you didn't commit to it, you could still just replicate that same chain within the DAW itself. So
Totally. The drums, you mentioned you basically load samples into the MPC.
Yes.
And then when you record back into Logic, are you doing that as like a sequence, or are you just kind of basically resampling through the MPC?
yeah, kind of. But it's a hybrid of both, the hodgepodge. But most of the time, sampling back into the through the Apollo, and then kind of messing with it within the DAW.
Oh, cool. So I mean, it's kind of cool because it gives you the opportunity. This has got its own sound built into it.
Absolutely. So this is an instrument in itself, which is what's really cool about this, and you can kind of capture that the sound going through the Apollo that comes from the MPC itself. So
Nice. Have you ever checked out kind of like throwing it through something like, say, the SSL channel?
classic.
Right? Because then you can kind of get some EQ, some compression, and I'll just kind of flatten these out for the moment. Just start with, the threshold's all the way up, the ratio's all the way down. So this is not really going to affect the sound too much, except that now it's kind of running through the electronics of an SSL channel.
Right.
Giving it imparting a little bit of that vibe that, when you think of hip hop, you think of an MPC and you think of SSLs.
Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
Cool. Let's. Can you mind playing the break a little bit for me?
So the crunch and the nice feel and sound and warmth from the MPC combined with the SSL, it's just so satisfying.
Right? Yeah, and so like as you were playing it, I just went over the EQ, just giving it that low end bump, kind of filled out that kick in a cool way.
Absolutely.
We want to play it one more time, and let me get this compressor kind of doing some work and see
Yeah.
if that adds to the sound. Dude, that makes a huge difference,
Totally.
right?
Totally.
Nice.
That tone is just so satisfying.
Yeah, it really is. As you can see, we're only doing you just get a little bit of blink on the SSL compressor. To me, it's not about smashing it, especially at the get-go.
Right.
You just want to enhance it a little bit, give it a little bit more bump, a little bit more feel, and then you track it in this way, and then later on during the mixing process, that's where you've got everything all assembled, all ready to fit together. That's really where you can set it off.
Exactly.
Totally.
The better source you start with, the easier it is later down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. What's kind of interesting about this, it's got a bass solo right in the beginning of the song. I
me,
see
yeah.
you. So that's not common, is it?
I think, I grew up playing bass in a lot of bands and throughout my life. And I also think a lot about vocal production and melody work. And so a lot of times melodies kind of get created on my bass. And sometimes we just keep it that way.
That's really cool. So what did you use to record the bass on this one?
Again, just direct into the Apollo, and then I used the Ampeg SVT. And just looking for a solid tone. I think I had it kind of picked in a little palm muted. Just looking for a tight and aggressive, more top end focused bass. A lot of the reasoning for that was that we use 808s and sub basses in a lot of different sections of our music. So we always want to make sure that the electric bass and the 808 are playing nice with each other.
Yeah. Did you get in here and kind of tweak her with the settings at all?
Yeah, I think I rolled back some of the bass and just kind of focused on the more mid-range and high end of the instrument.
Nice.
So I just backed it off a little bit, but nothing too crazy. It's more like a mix of picking and palm muting to keep the notes really tight.
Well, it's cool because I mean the whole idea, you guys know this as musicians, right? It's like what you're hearing is going to inform how you play the part.
Totally.
It's like if you're hearing the clarity, if you're hearing the sound that you want to hear, now it kind of says, oh, hey, this is the way I'm going to approach picking this part, as opposed to like if you left it full fat and you're like, oh, maybe it's a finger thing instead of a pick.
And there's a lot of times when it would, I mean, I'd be playing with my fingers, on the bass because we want that low, really round, kind of filling up the low end space. But for this song in particular, we kind of talked about adding 808 and kind of sub instrument there.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to eat away too much of that space. Just give some room for the other stuff to have fun. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's see what this sounds like.
Yeah, and even a little more of the low end, I think, can just get backed off and just.
I just play a little more back. There it is.
And when I was tracking it, I didn't know if it was going to be a melody that was later sung vocally, but just how it felt. Once I heard it back, it was a nice way to intro the song. It just kind of happens in the moment, and then later on in the song, it comes back, but an octave up.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. So that was kind of interesting here in the production. The little bass lick is really just in the intro part.
Right.
But then when it comes back here, I think it was in the chorus. It comes back, but it's up an octave. So it kind of sounds like a guitar, but it's got these weird artifacts and kind of it's like. Is that a guitar? Is it a bass? Like it's in this cool Twilight Zone in a way.
Right. I think we're always using live instrumentation, but considering kind of the roots of hip hop production, very like sample based. So anything we can do to a natural analog sound to give it a little more ambiguity with, is it a sample or is it something that was played, is usually something we like to do. So once the 808 came in that section, we kind of felt like we can up the octave of it and give it even a little more space. But I was also curious, like, what if this lick was on a guitar? And instead of picking up my guitar, I just went into Logic and just transposed it, and I liked what that result was, so we just kept it that way.
Yeah, let's take a listen to what that sounds like.
Yeah, and things like that are really what make the production unique and what kind of separates it from other productions in music is like those little tweaks and those little that ear candies we want to call it is just what will separate your production. Because there's small chance anyone has gone through this same exact chain, through the same processing to make it sound that way. So that's what separates it from everything you've heard before.
Yeah, totally. Well, and speaking of ear candy, I wanted to learn a little bit. There was instrument vocal chop here. This is like a little background, little twinkly thing that you added in there. How did that come to be?
Yeah, this is something we do constantly in our production. Again, being sample-based and influenced by sampling is after vocals are recorded and we got all the runs, we'll go back through and chop off little cool pieces and moments of the vocals and convert those into a sampler instrument that we can trigger and play, kind of like an MPC. And for this specific one, we pitched them up, added some auto-tune and distortion to kind of make them very unique, and of course reverb and delay. And again, that's like a cool little special moment that happens that kind of is something you've never heard before in other music because it's only happened here and those vocals live in this session. So again, little things like that is what we're constantly trying to do to separate our production and the music so it's unique and original and kind of catches your attention.
Well, it's details, man.
Exactly.
Like, it's the attention to detail that really kind of takes it from being like, oh, this is somebody's track that they just produced and handed off to it. Like, you guys are real producers in that sense of like you're working with artists and crafting something that's really unique and really fits the message of the song and the vibe of what you're trying to create.
Right. We never want to make something where someone's like, oh, I know exactly where that sound came from, right? The same Triton sound or the same, whatever you want to use. But we're always looking to push the envelope and use unique and different sounds that you haven't heard before.
That's really cool. Yeah, let's take a listen to what this chop sounds like.
Again, just a level of mystery, right? You don't know, is it a synth? Is it a vocal? What really is it? And we love that. Like we want to keep the listener guessing and not really ever know. And that's just kind of what makes it special.
That's super cool, man. I really dig it. What's kind of the next step? How do you take like a guitar idea or a loop and then start developing something that then becomes a song?
Yeah, it's a pretty typical workflow for us where we'll get like a skeleton or foundation instrumentation-wise down, and then that way you can send that to the artist for them to at least start writing. And then at that point, start tracking vocals, which the Apollo is huge in our workflow for vocals. And then after the vocals are in the session, we can kind of do post-production and cater around the vocals.
Gotcha.
And update the arrangement or make the arrangement fit the vocals and how we want the song to go.
And then how do you guys handle tracking Campana's vocals for this one?
Once we, got both artists into the studio, it was just, again, using the UA software as monitoring, making sure that he's got good levels in his headphones. Also, we use the 1176 like on every vocal in, just as kind of a way to set level for what the artist is hearing in their headphones. The other thing we really utilized in this song especially was the real-time auto-tune. A lot of the ad-lib tracks are super tuned, and being able for Campana to hear that as he's tracking and respond to what he's hearing in his ears is super helpful.
Yeah, we always want to make sure when vocal tracking the artist feels as confident and comfortable as possible, and the UA console monitoring is a big piece of that, right? Where you can just turn the 1176 all the way up and just smashing in their ears, but it's not degrading the quality of the signal coming in and that you're recording, right? So we can always keep those separate. So that's a huge piece and component to our workflow is, making sure the artist is comfortable and confident, and UA real-time processing helps us achieve that for sure.
That's really cool. In console, you're keeping everything in UAD monitor mode. So you're primarily using this to make sure what he's hearing in the headphones is inspiring.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah, it's just utilizing some of the reverbs, the auto-tune, and then making sure, his level is feeling good and he can really focus on just the performance and not worry so much about what he's hearing. Just feeling confident there.
Nice.
And again, maintaining that separation between the signal that's being recorded and what he's hearing in the headphones. And that separation is very crucial and important.
Nice. What reverb are you guys typically using?
We use the Lexicon 224 all the time. It basically stays on our aux channel just for monitoring, but also finds its way into a lot of mixes as well.
You're using like an 1176 to kind of smash it into his headphones, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's always on the monitoring channel would be this guy here, and we just kind of bring up the level a lot, and this gives us the ability to have a little bit of wiggle room on the fader. And we can either boost it. A lot of vocalists just really want to hear vocals a lot, so this gives us the chance to really bump up the level without compromising our recording signal. So
again, definitely a game changer when it comes to tracking vocals is real-time auto-tune, and again, in the spirit of getting the best performance possible and making sure that the artist is comfortable and confident, and auto-tune helps that for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think especially for recording rap vocals, being able for the artist to just get that immediate feedback, and you can hear the difference in the way they approach the recording. They will start hearing the tune hit certain notes, and they'll stick to that, and kind of, it definitely changes the way that, recording is approached. So
you set it to low mail.
Yeah, I like the low mail setting, especially for TJ. It kind of focuses on the little lower harmonics, and I think that does something nice. The classic mode's cool too, just simple classic sound, the Auto-Tune 5.
Yeah. I know so many producers that stayed on an old version of Pro Tools just to use that old algorithm.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they introduced that.
They were smart for bringing it back.
Yeah, for real. Cool, so we got Neve, we've got Auto-Tune, we've got a couple of compressors, we've got the reverb all set up. So you're pretty much good to go now, right?
Yeah, vocals should be sounding real nice.
Can definitely track.
Yeah. Nice. So what's kind of your method for working together and tracking? Like what's that process look like?
So we typically in our DAW will have a dedicated record track, and we'll be just recording through onto that one channel, and then as we get takes we like, we can build comps within, and Logic kind of stacks its own folder. So that's how we build our comping, but we keep everything on one record track and basically just try to keep the workflow as fluid as we can without any interruptions because of the technology. So we'll start getting signal and making sure that everything in Campana's headphones feels good, and then we'll start running takes.
Nice. Well, let's give it a go.
Yeah. Started with some muscle and developed the flow. The point stands, I'm the realest I know. Put on the beat, I get into my zone. Nobody help, I'll be good on my own. It's all love, I ain't got no foes. You see, I'm living this life like I'm golden. I'm rolling, chosen. See me wide out in the open. All it really takes is a little devotion. Mix it with talent. I found a balance. Expand my palate. Tell me what's the fun if you see no challenge. I'm overcome anything that stands in my way. I'm a greatness. The future is mine for the taking. I'ma take everyone I came with, shooting for the moon like Apollo. Heart is good, fortune like I just hit the lotto. And this is all I wish, like a genie in the bottle. Smoke good, eat good, live good. It's a motto.
Great. Yeah, so now we're in ad-lib world, where we like to engage the auto-tune and bring up the reverb and get it kind of spacey and vibey feeling in TJ's cans. Right? It's always fun to turn this on and just get the reaction from the artist. As soon as it hits their ears, they're just like, eyes light up. So you want to just check that real quick?
Check.
Yeah.
Great.
Sounds great.
All right, let's hit some ad-libs.
Cool. Yeah.
Started with some muscle and developed the flow. The point stands, I'm the realest I know. Put on the beat, I get into my zone. Nobody help, I'll be good on my own. It's all love, I ain't got no foes. You see, I'm living this life like I'm golden. I'm rolling, chosen. See me wide out in the open. All it really takes is a little devotion. Mix it with talent. I found a balance. Expand my palate. Tell me what's the fun if you see no challenge. I'm overcome anything that stands in my way. I'm a greatness. The future is mine for the taking. I'ma take everyone I came with, shooting for the moon like Apollo. Heart is good, fortune like I just hit the lotto. And this is all I wish, like a genie in the bottle. Smoke good, eat good, live good. It's a motto.
I'm hustling, been grinding.
Yeah, and I think, TJ, when you hit into that higher register is when it really started, feeling...
Like, usually with tracking ad-libs and things like that, you start to figure out, like the different pockets and approaches you want to go with, like after the first, second time through, and then you're like, all right, I want to work a little more on this and approach it this way, even more so going throughout the whole take.
Want to run one more of the ad-libs? Cool.
Check. Yeah. Started with some muscle and developed the flow. The point stands, I'm the realest I know. Put on the beat, I get into my zone. Nobody help, I'll be good on my own. It's all love, I ain't got no foes. You see, I'm living this life like I'm golden. I'm rolling, chosen. See me wide out in the open. All it really takes is a little devotion. Mix it with talent. I found a balance. Expand my palate. Tell me what's the fun if you see no challenge. I'm overcome anything that stands in my way. I'm a greatness. The future is mine for the taking. I'ma take everyone I came with, shooting for the moon like Apollo. Heart is good, fortune like I just hit the lotto. And this is all I wish, like a genie in the bottle. Smoke good, eat good, live good. It's a motto.
I'm hustling, been
Awesome.
Cool. Nice.
And a huge advantage to having the record track, as Elon has here, is let's say TJ liked the ad-libs from the first half of the first take better. It's as simple as, expanding to see all the different takes and then selecting the first half and then creating the comp from that. So now, as you can see, that's a combination of the first and second take of ad-libs, and we do that all the time. Like, that's just a huge advantage of maintaining a record track and keeping everything. That's a big concept for us at the studio. Is we're always recording. We want to keep everything, just so if you ever need to go back or if you ever need to do a comp like this, it's very simple and straightforward. As we mentioned earlier, kind of replicating the chain we had in the Apollo within the DAW itself. To maintain the optionality and flexibility, but still kind of capturing that sound that inspired Campana to record the vocals the way he did.
Just good starting point. Just kind of get that filtered. All right, let's hear that back.
Started with some muscle and developed the flow. The point stands, I'm the realest I know. Put on the beat, I get into my zone. Nobody help, I'll be good on my own. It's all love, I ain't got no foes. I'm living this life like I'm golden. I'm rolling, chosen. See me wide out in the open. All it really takes is a little devotion. Mix it with talent. I found a balance. Expand my palate. Tell me what's the fun if you see no challenge. I'm overcome everything that stands in the way. I'm a greatness. The future is mine for the taking. I'ma take everyone I came with, shooting for the moon like Apollo. Heart is good, fortune like I just hit the lotto. And this is all I wish, like a genie in the bottle. Smoke good, eat good, live good. It's a motto.
I'm a select.
Good. Sounds like a record.
Yeah,
right?
pretty quickly we were getting into kind of the same area that we landed on for the actual tracking.
Nice. And then, so do you guys basically use the same vocal chain regardless of what type of vocal you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, more or less, it's a similar chain. We'll, for a singer, peel off the retune speed. We're not looking for as much of like a sharp affected tune sound, but maybe something to just smooth out kind of the tail end of longer notes. So, yeah, and just something to give her the confidence to sing through and hear things clearly, especially with harmonies, being able to kind of hear those notes when they're sitting right, super helpful.
So I guess what would be really kind of interesting to see and kind of explore would be, the layering that you guys do, and kind of seeing how that process works of, getting a lead, doubling that out, doing some harmonies, and seeing how quick you guys work. I imagine this is actually a pretty easy process, huh?
It's pretty easy. It's a good thing we work together a lot. I think we've gotten in the routine thing. So for us, it's a lot of, just fast communication, getting it done.
Yeah, making sure the workflow, again, feels natural and there's no hang-ups, just kind of moving while we feel the inspiration.
Yeah, nice. Try and roll some stuff on the chorus. I'd love to just kind of observe and see how you guys do this.
Yeah, totally.
Smoke good, eat good, live good, it's a motto.
I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my time, and I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure. It was made for me. It was made for me. Yeah, it was made for me. Yeah, this was made for me. Made for me.
What we did in the recording was just a left, right, center. So mostly center, but we did add some sides just to kind of widen it, make it feel like it opened up from Campana's verse. So it's just another one of those.
Follow, all this good fortune like I just hit the lotto. When this is all a wish like a genie in the bottle. Smoke good, eat good, live good, it's a motto.
I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my time, and I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure. It was made for me.
Awesome. Nice. And then we had just like a lower, so we ended up keeping this outro and just throwing it at the end.
Huh?
And then, because it slightly overlaps on the turnaround, just kind of,
Copy paste,
yeah, just bringing that one over. I think we can try the lower harmony in the chorus now, which comes in halfway through. So let's give that a shot.
Shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure. It was made for me. I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my time, and I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure. It was made for me.
And again, that was another situation where we just had a left and right, just to add, again,
Gives that stereo interest.
Right.
Exactly.
And
so
recording them as actual vocals and actual different takes definitely adds additional character that you wouldn't get just from like a doubler plugin or trying to do it in the box. So recording those extra takes really adds that extra character.
Totally. Let's do one more low one. Yeah.
Shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure. It was made for me. I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my time, and I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure. It was made for me.
So yeah, again, we're moving pretty fast through the whole process.
You guys are making this look way too easy.
Yeah, of course it starts with a talented artist and vocalist. So when you have someone that understands harmonies and understands doubling, it's a treat for us as engineers, right? As you know, so
what do you do? Say don't take her for granted. What would happen if you did have a vocalist that needed a little bit more help in doing this stuff? Do you guys have any tricks or techniques for getting a performance out of someone who's not quite as experienced or skilled?
I think, I mean, yeah, I try to work on a lot of vocal production, and one of the things is just making them, first off, feel very comfortable, very confident in what they're hearing back, but also just encouraging them to express like just that animation, that energy. I think a lot about like theater and how, you know, makeup gets kind of piled on because under the lights, you know, you need that for the dramatic effect, and so being extra in your emphasis and everything, I think translates well on records. And so I'm always saying like, make it sassier, you know, add that extra energy, you know, this next take, try going a little crazier, like just bring as much energy as you can and personality to the recording, because I think that's what makes things special. So.
And actually, like a super cool, like execution tactical thing that we've been doing recently that I've found has been super helpful for vocalists is, yeah, someone that doesn't have as good of an ear as Paris maybe for harmonies is panning the vocals. So the recorded vocal that you're trying to harmonize with, keep that on the right side, and then keep the recording track on the left side to really have that separation between the two can really help out when it comes to recording harmonies and hearing the separation between the two takes.
This becomes so much easier to, you know, locate, okay, I'm trying to match here and I'm here. Like, it just makes it so much easier.
You can find yourself, a little bit easier.
When we were really working through this part, a lot of times because Paris is has such a good ear for harmony, I kind of let her go. So we'll run a loop, a couple measures, you know, in between, and then I'll be giving her just active feedback, like, you know, if it's something I liked, ooh, yeah, you know, do that, and then let's maybe drop it an octave and then find a middle note, you know, sometimes a third harmony, a fourth, a fifth, you know, Paris can go kind of crazy. So, I mean, we could really stack it out, but just trying to keep, again, that flow just going so that we're not missing any of those little magic moments that happen, you know.
Totally.
So
well, it's helpful having a talk back to be able to just like in the moment be like, that was good, you know, give them the feedback, instant feedback, or give them the instant guidance that they need.
Exactly.
For sure.
But
Let's
I'll
do low
just
first and make our way up.
okay, and I'll just keep the loop running.
Pressure, I make a treasure, it was made for me. I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my timing. I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure, it was made for me. Treasure, it was made for me. I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my timing. I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure, it was made for me. Yeah, treasure, it was made for me. I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my timing. I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure, it was made for me. It was made for me. I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my timing. I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I make a treasure, it was made for me.
Yeah, and so those were all the voices on the record. I think, you know, we might have a left and right channel of each of those, but in this instance, you know, this is kind of the pace and the workflow that we're used to when we're together. So
Totally.
yeah.
I got to mix this tune. It was a lot of fun to get stems where the gain staging was all great. Like all the pre-processing that you guys had done on that, like it was made my job really easy.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, it was really cool because it made it one of those instances where it's already starting at good, and then I just get to do these little tweaks, little touches here or there to kind of bring it all together and, you know, continue to add more of that energy and add more of the attitude that you guys already brought with the production and with the performances.
Since Eli and I are in a part of every stage of the process, and we know what it's like to be the recording engineer, the mixing engineer, mastering at times. Like we always want to make sure we're looking out for the next person in the line that we're handing this off to, and that's a big piece of this and a big component of how we work. And we always want to, you know, hand it off the best state it can possibly be to make your life easier and get the best possible end product.
Totally, yeah. So my goal as the mix engineer is to not mess it up and really just add more energy, add some more clarity, give it more punch, and overall kind of be looking at the dynamics and really just making sure that the final product that we're hearing sounds as good as it possibly can. So over the last couple of years, actually the last like 10 years or so, I've been working towards a kind of a system that I like to mix into. For me, it starts over here on the right. So these are like my mix bus tracks. This is what everything is getting summed down into, and this is processing that's shared by all of the tracks. I've kind of worked with the same set of 5 or 6 plugins for a really long time now, so I know exactly where to start with them, and I know what they can do to add to my mix. And lately it's been the Manly Varimu compressor. Sometimes it doesn't even go past like -1. It really, it's just like a little kiss on the cheek with this. Sounds amazing. Like when I take it away, you're like, whoa, what happened?
Right.
When I put it back on, you're like, I don't really feel a difference.
Right, it's something that you maybe don't perceive, but as soon as it's gone, you miss it.
Absolutely. This is also telling me, am I in the right range? If I start mixing, I'll usually kind of get a good rough mix going on the track before I go into this mix bus area. And then I go there, open this up, and if that's hitting at like -2 or -4, I'm like, oh, whoa, someone's a little hot today. The range I want to hit is like between 0 and 2. So if I'm going past that, what I'll do is I'll either use this master fader to kind of trim into it, or the thing that's built into some of these UAD plugins is this headroom knob.
Oh.
And basically what that's doing is it's adjusting the reference level. It's saying like, normally it's calibrated here, let's add another dB or 2 of headroom to it. All of a sudden it's not clipping as much, it's not compressing as hard, and it kind of gives me back that life that when you overcompress something, that's the first thing to go away. For fun, I'll turn down the threshold here and we can kind of hear what it sounds like when it's overdoing it. So you hear it now, it's compressing more, but it's kind of, it's feeling forced. Like to me, it kind of like, too much compression to me just sounds stressful, and like that's not the feeling I want my records to have most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's bring that threshold back to where it was. Next up in the mix bus is the Brainworx V2. For me, it's all about the stereo width. And again, like I'll have a good rough mix going before I go into this mix bus, but this is ultimately where like the core of the sound that I'm delivering to my clients, it comes from having this mix bus chain really doing the final little bits that make it go from like, it's pretty good to like, wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So again, here I'll just play that same spot and we'll go with and without, and you'll just instantly get that same sort of feeling.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then, so the other thing I really love about working with this EQ is that it's a MS EQ, so I'm working in mid and side. So it really lets me kind of tailor the vocal, the bass, the snare, the relationships to the stuff that is happening on the sides. So a lot of times just getting in there with this little, like somewhere between 100 and 200, just cutting out a little bit of mud. The mastering engineers probably would have done the same thing, but again, what I'm trying to deliver back to you guys is something that gets you guys really excited about the record and be like, wow, that's sounding finished already. And then mastering is just that last layer of polish on top.
I think what we've seen is you're making probably a consistent theme that we'll see more is little tweaks in each, like no single plugin is working too hard.
Correct.
You're doing little tweaks on each one to get to the final stage.
That's exactly it. It's just you do piece by piece, layer by layer. And what happens, especially in the template that I'm using, is you'll see all these yellow tracks are like kind of like instrument subgroups, right? So I've got the drums, and I've duplicated that to make a couple of parallel channels. Effects, bass, guitar, keyboards, and then all of those are getting added together and becoming the instrumental bus, this one here, which again I duplicate and do a parallel processing right next to that. And then I do the similar thing on the vocals. And this came out of working in hourly studios for so long. I'd be doing like people wanted to like have like a 5-hour session. They want to do a whole mixtape. I had to figure out really fast, how do I make these crappy instrumentals sound okay, and then marry that with vocals, and then every once in a while you get like a tracked out beat, and I'm like, how do I not totally mess up my brain and my system? So I was like, oh, I'll just kind of create a 2-track out of the whole the tracked out instrumental, and then marry that with the vocals. So I'm always using these same sets of tracks, regardless of if I'm working from a 2-track instrumental or a full tracked out beat. Obviously with hip hop, it's all about drums, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn off that distortion parallel. I'm gonna turn off my drum parallels and play just the dry drums. They've got a little bit of EQ, a little bit of saturation happening on the individual tracks, but no compression, nothing on them. Now I'll play that with some of the parallel processing for the drums. It's another one of those things, right? Like when you don't notice it when it's there, you take it away, you're like, what happened? Where'd it go?
Yeah, it just kind of wakes up everything, just gives it a little energy.
Mm-hmm, exactly. I typically never open these up because they're just set, and if I'm hitting it, great. If I'm not hitting it quite hard enough, it just never happens. I'm just always hitting that super hard, and that's giving you so much transient, so much attack to the drums. The second one I have set up here is an 1176. All buttons in, kind of a fast attack, and I've just dimed the input.
You get to hear it on the hi-hats, the high end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. Like that, I would not be proud if somebody heard that sound as my drum sound. But again, I'm using like a few dB of that down in the bottom. And in concert with the other tracks, kind of adds that extra life and extra motion to the hi-hats, which is adding to the groove, which is adding to the feel of the song. And like you observed, man, it's just like it's these little touches here and there, piece by piece, and then that kind of all ends up adding up together to create the mix that we all like.
Right.
For the vocals, all the vocals are going into the vocal subgroup here. And then I'm using the Neve 33609. Pretty light on processing when it comes to the vocals. The stems that you gave me were already sounding good. Like they're already pretty well dialed in. So all I'm trying to do here is just control the little things I hear. Like get rid of some of the S's that were kind of piquing my ear a bit. I was using like the Tube Tech CL1B, which is a
classic,
killer sounding vocal. Especially with her vocal, like I felt like the perfect match. And then, they're all getting summed together. So now all the vocal layers are working together and pushing this Neve compressor. So this is kind of gluing those together on their own. So you have this one great sounding vocal that's then getting glued together with the instrumentals that are going through like I think an SSL and the back CQ. So it's just little bits of glue here and there, just kind of sticking the whole collage together. But let me show you what the vocals sound like on their own.
I'm hustling, been grinding, waiting on my time, and I'm hustling, pushing against the weight on me. Put that work in, I'm surfing, shining like a diamond. Under the pressure, I'm making treasure. It was made for me.
Made for me.
Super cool. It like glues the vocals together, but it doesn't kill the transients. Like it's a great compressor. Yeah.
And that might just be my bias on how I like things to sound, but like. I kind of think that's a pretty universal thing for producers and engineers. It's like we're trying to, portray the energy and the life of the song while also controlling for dynamics and kind of trying to work within a little bit of a mold that people's ears are now used to. You got to kind of match that in certain ways, but also be unique in your own way.
Our collaboration process really did feel a lot like Hot Potato during this song, and I think it was just icing on the cake that you were able to mix it, but it just felt the same. You're just passing the energy off.
Right. For me as a mixer, that's the most fun thing to do is be able to pick up what you guys are putting down and just take it to the next step sonically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that we've mentioned this a few times, but Nima and I at the studio have operated kind of primarily with UA gear since, for the last 7 years, and it really is not just for the commercial sake that we love and use this equipment on a daily basis. I mean, we really without this gear and without this software, our workflow is not anywhere near the same. So it really, like, we love this equipment.
The self-sufficiency that it offers, I think it really is a game changer. And like, you know, Elon and Nemo are obviously our go-tos, but it's like, the portability of it all really allows us to, like, in adventures like this, we're able to not only, like, you know, talk about the music we're making, but actually continue to make music. So it just kind of feeds back into it, and I don't know, I think it's just, it benefits us all around. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for not only sharing your song, but sharing all these insights into how a song like this gets created. It was really fascinating to see inside the process that you guys went through and learning all about the intricacies that it takes. And for everybody at home, hope you guys are feeling inspired. And if you want to learn more about Universal Audio products, just head to uaudio.com, and I'll see you guys next time.
Under the pressure, I make a treasure that was made for me.